Hello, and welcome to this week's League of Legends news and notes between May 30th and June 6th. I'm only covering the 4 major regions in this video. There was so much that went on that I had to use a second board, so we have board number 1 here, and then we have a couple things overflowed on a board number 2. A lot of LPL news as the LPL announces that they're going to start June 10th. Good thing I started my previews earlier. If you missed any of the previews, those are finished. Mind you, all of this information that regards the LPL is not on those previews because the LPL waited till the last minute to make roster moves, which sucks if you want to do preview videos and do one a day so you don't like bombard people with the same region like multiple videos a day. I don't really enjoy the thought of that. I am going to bombard you with videos though for the next 2 weeks probably. I intend on doing finish my LCK previews this week. Start the LCS today, LEC today, do the minor region videos this week because many of the minor regions start this weekend. So the likes of CBLOL, Latin America, Turkey are definitely this week. Right now the PCS and VCS are not announced, and there are some teams that do not have complete rosters, so to rank the teams without even knowing what the complete rosters are, aka PSG, which we'll get to in this video, that would be wrong. So the PCS, VCS right now are on the back burner until that gets situated. But the other major regions will be done. I also intend on doing my 12.10 patch breakdown video, going over the 4 major regions players and which teams overall benefit the most from the patch. I'm not going to do 12.9 due to it being a durability patch. Everything's on there. Why? I mean, in the end, I don't need to do win rates because we've already adjusted for that patch, and we can look at 12.10 as a better gauge of what players benefited from the whole situation and which ones haven't. Another video, I think somebody suggested me to do a top 5 favorite players in each role video. I will probably do that this week as well. And there's something else that is literally escaping my mind right now that I want to do. Oh, I think a power rankings video as well before the LPL starts. So a lot on my plate this week, so I guess some people hit the notification bell. I've never asked anyone to do that. If you want to get all my notifications for all my videos, hit that bell. So we're starting with Thundertalk in this video. Thundertalk made a lot of moves this past week. They addressed jungle, bringing in Bejuan from FPX and Zhao 17 from JDG. Brought in Hoya from Damwon in the LCK, as well as putting Zhao Zhang in top from EDG. So 4 moves. Oh, and they also brought in Kepler from Victory 5's Academy team to address the AD carry situation. So TT making a lot of moves. This is good. Later than I would have liked, but this is good for them. You need to make moves to succeed. I liked Bejuan when he played with FPX. He's a different jungler than Clid, which caused FPX to go in another direction. But I thought he did well. He's a carry jungler. Comparing him to Zhao 17, Zhao 17 stats in the LDL. Zhao 17 has a better KDA, doesn't farm as well, even at a lower level. Has the kill carry potential. He gets more kills, but I mean, do you want your jungler getting the kills? I don't know. He only had 19.7% gold share, so really, is he carrying games? You're not really, so maybe that's a little bit of inexperience out of him. Where Bejuan doesn't take as many kills. He's also very young. Both players kill participants big time, 72%. So on the right side of 70% and on the right side of 5.5 CS per minute. So both junglers actually are pretty complete in that they can carry if they have to, but also facilitate, farm well, get ahead. This is good. These are good moves for Thundertalk because at the time before this, Frigid was their jungler still, and we really didn't know what they were going to do about that. Chieftain was gone. Chieftain, I believe, went to the TCL. So that, I believe, was a good move. I'm leaning towards Bejuan over Zhao 17, though. When you look at top lane, Hoya struggled dramatically with Damwon. Like, Damwon's biggest problem, obviously going to get Nuguri, was top lane. Bertle and Hoya sucked. Essentially, they sucked. Bertle was okay. Hoya was awful. Hoya didn't even get 7 CS per minute. Zhao Zhang Zhao Zhang did not do that great with TTG. I mean, they tried to give Flandre a run for his money with Zhao Zhang, and he didn't even get 8 CS per minute, which is probably the bar I have. 8 is the bar, and he didn't get there. Very different jungler. Very different top laner than Hoya, though. Hoya, 46% KP in the several games he played, where Zhao Zhang, 57%. So Zhao Zhang, 11% more KP, got into more fights. Obviously, we're looking at the situation where the LCK and LPL are not the same, obviously, and they don't play the same. The LPL, a lot more chaotic, a lot more fights. LCK, slow, steady wins the race. Damwon definitely buys into the slow and steady wins the race quite often. So that's a thing. Zhao Zhang, over 8% higher kill share. 1.5% gold share higher, which is a little weird. You'd think Hoya's would be lower than what it is, or at least Zhao Zhang's would be higher. Obviously, Damwon did struggle this past split. I mean, clearly they struggled. I feel top and support were a problem, which, I mean, we're going to get to in this week's LCK previews. So that's a thing. Kepler was ready to come up. I believe I may have said that in my Victory 5 preview video as he sat behind Fodic. 982 CS per minute, which is quality numbers even in the LDL. 5.68 KDA, 64% KP, 32% kill share. He gets kills. He gets into the game. He makes things happen. Played 6 champions, though. That is a thing. No, I didn't even mention champions. I will say Bejuan probably should play more champions. Only played 4. Zhao Zhang played 7 in 12 games. I mean, both Hoya and him did not start. So Kepler, back to Kepler. 6 champions in 36 games. That's a thing because when you look at Puff played 8 champions in 40 games. 2 games being on Senna, so his 955 CS per minute actually probably should be slightly higher. I think this gives a lot of, we're going to go over this quite a few times actually. The LPL teams made a lot of moves to give competition to their starters, especially starters that you thought were safe. I don't think anybody's safe on TT, so Puff, I mean, safe. But we're going to get to Weibo, where Weibo makes a move. The other board, Victory 5, made a move that kind of drew some question marks from me. And you get situations where players that are, stalwarts are going to be pushed in between spring and summer to try and get into Worlds. And it's also going to give you more scrim time against other players, maybe 1v1s. I do believe 1v1s is a key to success. Having a very, very good secondary team in academy, the best you can possibly have, spending money to ensure you have a good academy team is better for everybody. Now we get into a little bit of LEC. Misfits finally announced they went with Irrelevant and allowed Harit to go. I am personally not a fan of this move. If you watch the LFL, comment down below on Irrelevant and Aggressivo and Erdot, which we'll get to them later. But I did not watch the LFL. Obviously, BDS did pretty damn well. But I'm a big fan of Harit. I know Harit at times overextended and he made mistakes, and that's a problem. But I really liked him in 2021. It's a shame I think he's unemployed right now. I think that a team could pick him up and he could be solid. So Irrelevant, I don't really, and not to mention Irrelevant's numbers aren't that great. Under 8 CS per minute, 52.9% KP, so kind of towards the split push side. So he got 0.6 CS per minute less than Harit 0.6 CS per minute less than Harit at a lower level. KDA is obviously slightly higher. He gets a few more kills, but he's not the same kind of top laner. Harit, very 1v1 solo lane oriented. Obviously, like I said, Irrelevant goes to that way at 53%, but Harit's at 48%, which is pretty significant for KP. That's a low KP. He is on his own on an island. Obviously, this last patch was a lot about Tryndamere, whether you had it or against it. Gwen, split pushing champions. Harit, because he didn't get a lot of fights, didn't get a lot of kills. Gold share 22.1, Irrelevant 21.9. Obviously, the kill share being 5% different is why the gold share was similar. I really don't like this move. I said to somebody this past weekend, and I didn't even think about this at the time. They said something about, you know, they were watching my LPL videos, and they're like, what is the second most competitive region after the LPL? And I really, I wanted to say LEC. I mean, what was the most competitive region in the world? And I have to go LPL. And I thought LEC could be close, but I think Misfits kind of are taking themselves out of the game with this decision. Irrelevant played 11 champions in 18 games. He probably should play less, so he can get better with them at the pro level. Harit 9 and 18. I just didn't like the move. I just can't emphasize that enough. Weibo brought up Decade, another situation, like I said, where a team is providing competition. The Shy was definitely the coin flip player on Weibo that gave them a lot of struggles this past split. I thought he definitely was their weakest player, which is unfortunate because the Shy is considered one of the better top laners in the world. Now, they bring up Decade, and Decade was disgusting down in Academy, the development league. Almost 9 CS per minute, 55% KP, 23% kill share, 23% gold share, which is a very high number for a top laner. That is secondary carry type numbers. 9 champions in 37 games. Then you look at the Shy. The Shy had a lot of kill potential at, not a lot of kill potential, sorry, at 15%, despite getting in 54% of fights. So the similar amount of KP, but kill share 7% less, gold share 1% less. He farmed decently at 8.21, and we did see him play a lot of tanks, a lot of different champions, playing 11 and 39 games. But the Shy kind of dragged this team down, and I think that that's why they're bringing in Decade to kind of give him a boost. And probably because Decade said, if you don't bring me up, I'm going elsewhere. Because he put up numbers that deserves a look on another team. Cough, cough. A team like Thundertalk could have used him. We're going to get to LGD. LGD certainly could use him. Rare Adam changes coaches. They bring back Endless. I don't know why Endless wasn't with them in spring 2022. Last year, he got them to 4th place, I believe, in the regional finals. So just outside of Worlds, I want to say. I forget if the LCK or LPL had 4 teams last Worlds, but he went 21 and 11 last year, where Chris went 8 and 8, so they went back with Endless. Rare Adam, obviously, a team just barely outside of the playoffs. This may be able to put them back into it. Speaking of teams just outside the playoffs, OMG were not. Early on in the split, OMG did very, very well, but faltered towards the end. Cream not really giving us what we thought we would get out of him, looking at 2021 as a indicator. So they go with 0909 from EDG, an Academy mid laner to bring up to give Cream some pressure. Jerry from Victory 5, similar for Cold. 0909, 858 CS per minute. Solid for mid lane. You want to be in the 8.5 to 9 range. That barely fits there, especially at the LDL level. But Cream was at 8.22, so Cream was struggling. Cream is not really, wasn't keeping up. He had issues. Some games he popped off and some games he didn't. Kill share being 25%, 5% higher than 0909. And that's kind of an indicator. Cream would solo kill players all the time, but then he would get solo killed. He'd just lose lane. Gold share slightly higher. KP 0909 5% higher, gets into some more fights. 69%, that's a good number. 70 is very good. And anything higher is just a cherry on top. And Cream played 10 champions at 41 games. I really like Cream, and he struggled. And OMG have to try and, get better in this split. Jerry over Cold. Sorry. Jeez, what the hell was that noise coming out of me? But, it's hard to really tell if Jerry's going to be an improvement over Cold. I don't think the bot lane was a problem with this team. I do think it was Cream holding them back. But we'll see if Jerry can give them a push. Jerry, slightly higher KP, plays less champions, 9 and 36, where Cold played 13 and 41. Cold played a lot of different stuff, and for better or for worse. BDS. BDS made some interesting moves. A team that Syncroft deserves so much better. I can still I haven't talked about BDS in months, and I still can say Syncroft deserves so much better. He was by far their best player, and I don't really think they addressed their issues necessarily with these two moves. I think they only kind of put a band-aid on the issue in bot lane. So Aggressivo. I don't think Aggressivo is better than Adam. But it's similar to the Misfits situation in that Adam gets killed a lot. Adam makes mistakes. Adam off the Rift is a question mark, obviously, with the Fnatic situation from last year. Aggressivo, this is his second shot. Another look in the LEC, because last year he got a look. His KDA is over a kill higher at 2.96 versus 1.73. CS per minute, 0.6 less at a lower level, once again. Not as good of a laner as Adam. Kill potential is pretty much the same. Gets into 5% more fights, which may be part of the reason why the CS per minute is the way it is. But it can't be all of it. Aggressivo played 8 champions in 18 games. Adam played 11 and 18. Adam willing to play weird stuff. Obviously, he's an Olaf one trick, I think. And then you got Darius in there as well. Now, speaking of the situation that I don't think they really fully addressed, they should have went with Crowny and Erdot and Bot and let X Matty go. Down with Limit. Limit, obviously, I think is inactive now. He chose to go elsewhere, or is upset that he couldn't get to go elsewhere because they waited so long before sending him down, which I think is a bunch of BS. I don't think teams should be doing that. Nevertheless, Erdot, I remember Erdot when I was talking about, was I talking about EU Master players when I talked about, this is not the first time I've talked about him. I feel like I made a video a couple months ago about players in EU Masters that I thought were like notable to look at. And Crowny and Erdot, obviously Crowny has been up before and gotten some looks with SK and most recently, I believe, Vitality. But Erdot is good, and if he's next to Crowny and they're doing well, then you should bring the pair up. You should bring the pair up together. I don't think that Limit really did all that much for BDS. Obviously, like I said, BDS struggled, in my opinion, outside of jungle. And X Matty also struggled. X Matty did not look good. And you know what? It was probably the video that I made where I went over the non-playoff teams in the LEC. And I said, what do they need to do to get better? And I looked at who they had in their system. And I said, they need to bring up Crowny and Erdot. And they didn't. And I don't know if it's pronounced Erdot. It could be pronounced something totally different. But that's how it's spelled. And I'm going to pronounce it in English because it's just simpler for me. So BDS, I think, kind of, I mean, they got better at support, but they got worse in top. And I mean, did they get worse in top? I don't know. I want it on paper worse, but I wasn't too impressed with Aggressivo last year when I saw him in limited action. The biggest news of the day, this is why I'm going to have chapters down below. I have a lot of news, obviously, in this video. It's going to be a long-ass video. RNG and BLG traded tops. This makes absolutely no sense to me. Somebody said, well, RNG have been wanting Breathe for a while. What are your top 5 top 5 best players in each role? Make a video. I have a really tough time not putting Bin number 1 top. I love watching Bin play. I love aggressive, and he gets punished for it. And he's still young. He's only, I think, 19 years old still. So hopefully he gets better over time and works that out. But Bin, in my opinion, is the best top laner in the world. So you let him go for Breathe, who you've wanted for a while. I don't agree with this move. I think this changes the LPL landscape completely at the top. I think this makes RNG come back down to earth with the other top teams. The TES, EDG, Weibo, I'm missing teams, JDG, FPX, they drop down. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of this move at all. I really am not. Comment down below what you think of this move. This is the biggest move of the offseason. Bin goes to BLG. BLG gets better. BLG lets Uzi go. Obviously, Uzi was inactive anyways, but this puts BLG back up into that conversation. I had them in that second tier of playoff teams that I'm like, okay, they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're a Worlds team because mid is an issue, and it still is an issue. But you got better in top, so just let Bin carry the solo lanes. You put Fofo on things that are facilitators and tanks and things that are not going to carry, and you put Bin on carries in top. I did not like this move from RNG. I can't believe a MSI team made this move. I think Bin makes BLG better. This brings the LPL all back together. I'm excited for the LPL to start. It is my favorite region to watch. It really is. It is entertaining as hell, and Bin is a reason why it is entertaining as hell. I don't normally go over smaller region news, but PSG did make MSI. They are one of the better teams in the world, despite being from the PCS, and they kind of threw curveballs. They allowed Juhan and Bay to go. They still haven't brought in a jungler, so that's why my PCS video is kind of being held back. And they went with Gory from FPX, who lost his job to Care. Gory, a former LCK mid laner. Bay was also from the LCK as well. Bay struggled at MSI, but PSG kind of struggled at MSI as well. There's similar players. Bay did very, very well in the PCS's past split. So did Juhan. But when they got to MSI, they struggled. And I don't know what PSG's intentions are for jungle yet. I mean, I think this is a big question mark. This is a big question mark. If you're a PCS fan, what do you think about this? Excuse me, why did PSG do this? Because look at the numbers. Gory gets into slightly more fights, at least at the LPL level. He farms about the same as Bay, but at the LPL level. Gold share is similar. Bay gets more kills, so he has more carry potential in that way. But what we saw at MSI was a player that struggled, but it was his first international experience. So to just sit him down after that, I think this was a bad move. I really do. PSG Talon giving us some question marks. Obviously, a couple teams make it to Worlds, and I really would strongly doubt PSG not making it to Worlds. But this doesn't make any sense. Question mark pings all over this board. All over the board because of that. So, okay. Now, there's going to be a quick little change of scene because we have two boards in this video. Okay, now for this board, not as much going on here. A couple LPL teams made some moves. LGD addressing a few issues similar to how TT did. Another team, actually TT and LGD are the two worst teams, so this is good to see. They bring in Assume from Weibo's Academy team, Chalizy from Thundertalk, who didn't even play this past year in summer 2021 or 2022 spring, so I don't understand really that move. And they brought up Hai Chow to compete at mid, because mid lane, if you recall, they had Jay, and Jay got banned for betting on games, which was weird because Jay was a lot better than Yeg. I don't know if he bet for them to win, and that's why he played so hard. But some games he did really well, and some games he didn't, which maybe some games he bet on them to lose. So, Assume from Weibo, I don't think he was all that good in the LDL based on the stats. If you watch him play, maybe you think he was good. Comment down below. But stat-wise, 931 CS per minute is not good enough. Played in only 8 games, so he wasn't even the starter in the in Academy. So I don't really understand this move. I thought Eric was okay. I don't think he's great, but LGD had a lot of issues. And I don't even recall if I had said Eric was a problem, but they have a lot of problems. Eric, slightly worse KDA. Had more carry potential slightly. Really these numbers are very similar, but then you have to take into account, Assume did it in 8 games at a lower level than Eric did in 42 games at the LPL level. So I don't think this makes him all that better. Fearness struggled this past split, just like the rest of LGD did. They allowed Garvey to go, and they bring in Chalizy. Chalizy struggled with Thundertalk last spring. Both similar CS per minutes, under 8. Similar KPs. However, Fearness gets, barely any more kills. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Fostering competition is good. Like I said, you want your academy team to be strong. You want your subs to be strong. Pushing your starters. Push them every day to get better. That is like the ultimate thing to do. Competition, growth mindset. But you can't have guys that stink. And they stink. Charlize played 13 champions in spring. Maybe he should have played less in 2021. Fearness played 11 champions. Okay, couple less maybe, and focus more, get 8 CS per minute. 60 KP, like, there was not a lot of side laning going on for LGD. Hai Chao played better than Yag at the academy level, 0.7 CS per minute higher, nearly 10% KP more. So Hai Chao gets into a lot more fights, does facilitate, makes things happen based on his development league numbers. And I think they want Yag to perform better. That's why they had Jay in there last year. That's why they have Hai Chao in again. I think that Yag's days are numbered if they keep bringing guys to give him competition. That's how I see it. Victory 5, like I said earlier about the Shy, we have a situation where a team brings up a player to push the starter that you probably are like, wow, we're pushing Rookie? Yeah, they're pushing Rookie. Rookie struggled mightily this past spring. Probably Victory 5's lead weight, just like the Shy was for Weibo. And it was pretty much because Rookie, this past split did not match his style. The meta was not his. He played a ton of Orianna. Who the hell played Orianna this past split? Rookie. That's it. Because he's a control mage. Like, that is what he is. A control mage player. Very, very good. One of the best to ever do it. But this past split, 8.12 CS per minute is not good. 8.16. Got into a good amount of fights, 71%. That's what you want. You want 70% is gold. 25.3, so he had secondary kill potential. 21.8% gold share, so not as much gold. I believe Rich had quite a bit of gold for this team. And played 15 champions. Played a lot of stuff, but played Orianna a ton because that's his bread and butter. And that is why his numbers don't look that good. Dreams with the academy team did fabulous in the LDL. 8.83 CS per minute, 6.5 KDA. Didn't get as many fights at 64%, but he probably said, similar to Decade, was like, hey, if you guys don't want to play me, I'm out. Give me a look, give me a chance, otherwise I'm gone. His numbers are ready. Dreams is ready. Just like Kepler are ready, and as was, I just said his name, Decade. Lastly, Anyone's Legend brings up Harder. This is a move that makes sense. They had Maple pressuring Forge in spring. Now they have Harder pressuring Forge. Harder, another player similar to Dreams that had great numbers in the development league. 8.86 CS per minute, 70% KP. So actually, comparing him to Dreams, I would argue he actually has better laning numbers. His KDA is not as strong, but he farms pretty much the same, but gets into 6% more fights. Doesn't get as many kills, which is a thing. I will say that is a thing. But he also plays more champions. So Harder plays more champions, gets into more fights, doesn't get as many kills, doesn't really carry games as much as Dreams. But he provides more utility. And versus Forge 8.31, CS per minute, which is okay, but you want 8.5 and higher. 67.9, especially at 68 KP. Under 21 kill share, not good, especially when he's taking up 22% of gold. So, comparing Forge to Rookie just for a second, as I just compared Dreams and Harder, Forge played less champions than Rookie. Got slightly more gold, but 4.5% less kills. Didn't get into as many fights. 3% less fights. Farmed slightly better. And KDA was not as good. So, obviously, Anyone's Legend is not as good as Victory 5, which you have to factor in here. But I do think, similar to how I feel about Yag with LGD. Harder's days are, not Harder. Forge's days are numbered. They are trying to push him to get the best they can out of him, and they're trying to find players to take his job. Which is, it's a thing. It has to happen. I mean, this team is brand new into the LPL and wants to perform. So, thank you for watching this video. If you stayed tuned for the whole damn thing, like it, subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. What do you think about these moves? What move stands out to you the most outside of bin for breathe? Do you think that these LPL teams are going to piss off the stalwarts in the Shy and Rookie, bring up these young guns, or do you think it's time that these young guns get an opportunity? What do you think about the LEC news and what these teams are doing, Misfits and BDS? Lastly, maybe what the hell is PSG doing? Subscribe to the channel, like I said. Like the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you come back for more content.